We would like to welcome you to the latest episode of Warpcast, where we pay tribute to a great individual in the gaming market. He spearheaded many advances into Nintendo's long legacy. He had many accomplishments over the years before becoming executive producer and president of the company, which we know and love today. And we're just going to go over some of the basics, things that he's been part of that you've probably played over the years in tribute to his legacy.
So, one of the games that is well known for his work that he's not credited for because there's no credits in the game, but everybody knows he worked on is Balloon Fight for the NES. So that was probably the first actual Nintendo game that he worked on, like when it was Nintendo developed. There was an episode of Game Center CX where he was a guest on, where he was interviewed by the host, and in Balloon Fight there's a mode called Balloon Trip where the goal is to get to the last as long as you can, collect as many balloons as you can, and at the bottom there's a fish that you can't see while you're floating through the air, and he programmed in a way where the fish goes back and left and right across the screen, but you can't actually see it because he's underneath the water. So if you dip it below the water, you might be able to survive, but if you happen to be below the water while the fish is going across, he'll nab you and eat you. So that's one well-known game he's worked on. Other titles include Star Battle on the Commodore VIC-20, Star Billiards on the MSX, Rollerball for the NES, which was his first. He was the first producer on the game. Hole-in-One Professional for NES, Air Fortress on NES, Othello on NES, Eggerland on NES, Uchu Kabaitai SDF for NES. New Ghostbusters 2 on NES, which is an interesting thing. I've never played that, but
I didn't get a chance to play any of the old Ghostbusters game.
So he was technical supervisor on that title. NES Open Tournament Golf on NES. He was the main programmer.
I haven't actually played that one.
that one's considered a classic.
Yeah.
One of the first titles that Mario was like it's one of the first Mario sports games, I guess you could say. NCAA Basketball for the Super NES. Arcana on Super NES, Super Stakes, or Vegas Stakes on Super NES. That's like a, gambling game. I remember seeing that title all over the place when I was a kid. Interesting that he worked on it. I wouldn't when I see that game, I don't think of Nintendo. It's interesting that they produced it.
It was the fact that it was licensed.
Yeah. Kirby's Adventure on NES. That's one he's well known for. Alcahest on Super NES. Kirby's Dream Course on Super NES, Earthbound on Super NES. So there's a big story about that one, how that game was in kind of development purgatory. It was in rough shape, and he came in and kind of got things back on track to get it out the door.
Fixed the code and allowed it to run properly without error.
He was listed as a programming director and programmer co-producer on that title. Adventures of Lolo on Game Boy, Kirby's Dream Land 2 on Game Boy, Pokemon Red and Pokemon Blue on Game Boy, Kirby Superstar on Super NES, Kirby's Dream Land 3 on Super NES, Kirby Star Stacker on Game Boy, Super Smash Bros. On the Nintendo 64, Pokemon Stadium on the Nintendo 64. So one thing about that is that he actually created that concept for Pokemon Stadium on his own. He kind of coded the battle program and just presented it to Nintendo and was like, all right, let's do it. So
and then basically just built the rest of the game around that.
He did everything that people wanted to. They want to take all their Pokemon from their carts, throw it onto a 3D platform, and throw in mini games and a bunch of fun stuff with it.
It says he coded that in a week.
Wow.
Yeah. Pokemon Snap on the Nintendo 64, Pokemon Gold and Silver on the Game Boy. For that title, Satoru Iwata created like a way to shrink the data down, kind of
the compression,
exactly, and get it down small enough so that they could fit the whole Kanto region.
Which is one of the reasons those are those, and then the remakes of those are some of the most popular, because you get to play through 2 regions.
Yeah,
and 16 gyms.
The physical limitation of the hardware was crazy because I think the original Game Boy had less than 3 megabytes capacity, not just limited to the cart, but what the hardware could handle. So,
my brother was super excited when we found out you could do both.
Well, you go through and you get all 8 badges again.
Pokemon Stadium 2 on the Nintendo 64, Pokemon Puzzle League on the Nintendo 64, Pokemon Crystal on Game Boy Color, Kirby Tilt and Tumble on Game Boy Color, Kirby 64 The Crystal Shards on Nintendo 64, Super Smash Bros. Melee on GameCube. So in the same way he helped out with Earthbound and getting out the door, he kind of did the same thing with GameCube, where it was kind of in a rough shape, and it wasn't so much rough shape, they just wanted to get it out the door in time, kind of close to the GameCube launch.
Behind. Yeah.
So he kind of got it back on track and get it out the door in a timely fashion. And then he worked on two... He was listed as the... so around these titles is when he started becoming listed as the executive producer, which is when he stepped into the role of president of Nintendo. Which is interesting. The two first titles that he was listed as executive producer were Pokemon games on the e-reader, where you scan the cards in. Mm-hmm. So he was listed as executive producer on Machop at Work and Kingler's Day, which were the e-reader games. And then Ham Tower, Ham Hams Unite. You guys familiar with that brand?
My brother played that game so much.
Yeah, that was an anime targeted towards children on Cartoon Network, and there was a game that Nintendo published in North America for the Game Boy Color. This is the one and only title where he and his predecessor Hiroshi Yamauchi are both listed as executive producers.
Oh wow!
And then from there, he's just listed as executive producer on pretty much all of Nintendo's first-party published titles. So everything we just listed is basically everything leading up to that point. So and of course, we just want to go over some credits because Satoru Iwata did pass away. Yeah, tragic. Pretty much nobody saw it coming. We knew a year ago that he had some medical conditions. As far as we thought, he was on the road to recovery, but I guess things were not going so well. So it's unfortunate. Even though he wasn't present at E3, it was nice to see the puppet, the Iwata puppet, and he lent the voice to it and everything. So.
I wonder if that's not part of the reason they did do the puppets.
Yeah.
Just so he could be there?
Yeah, kind of.
Because,
if he wasn't in good health, that was just 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago now.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. They actually uploaded a picture to Nintendo's press website, a recent picture of Iwata. It was taken on June 23rd or something like that, or late June. And, he definitely looked frail in the picture, but it's just crazy that he's obviously he didn't think he would be going anywhere because they took the time to upload the picture, and then he also did the meeting with the meeting with a few weeks ago. He did the meeting with the shareholders.
Oh,
that's what it is, shareholders. So he was there with Iwata, and he when he went out, he was feeling confident that the company was going in a good place. That they were on the road to big things. So it's unfortunate, but we wish his family and his coworkers and his fans the best. We'll definitely miss him. So thanks for watching, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you very much for watching.